Hey there and welcome back to a slightly chiller Jimothy Listens. My name's Jimothy and we're doing I'm tired. I've had a big week. I've had a big, fun but rough and busy week. So we're doing a nice little chill weekly roundup, and it's also a little bit different from the past couple that we've done in that I didn't really get to listen to any new albums this week. The daily new album listening has been on a bit of a break, only like 2 weeks after I've started it, but that doesn't mean that I didn't listen to anything this week. In fact, I listened to quite a few albums. I drove home and back twice this week, but in the what ended up being like, I don't know, 15-ish hours of driving I did in the past week, I listened to a lot of albums, just not new music, but I thought it could be fun to go through what I listened to while I was driving, because most of the albums that I listened to are stuff that I haven't talked about yet on this channel, and so I thought it could be fun to just go through and give some sort of quick fire, rapid thoughts on these albums, because there's a fuck ton of them. I haven't counted exactly, but there's quite a few. So let's just get started. This is going to be, a slightly different format. Normally I have like, the album name and like a snippet from. I'm not going to do that. This is going to be a very chill, casual little video that probably no one's going to watch because it's not formatted nicely, but fuck it, this is for me. Let's get going. The first album that I listened to is Kick 2 by Arca. Kick 1 came out back in 2020, I think. And then the rest of them, Kicks 2 through 5, were released once a day in sort of like the beginning or like end of November, beginning of December last year. And Kick 2 fucking slaps. I feel like a lot of the sort of praise goes to Kick 3, but Kick 2 is, it's so like they're all incredible. But Kick 2, I love how it's kind of the first half is the Latin reggaeton feeling stuff, but still with Arca's just insanely fucked and like very textural vibe. And then the second half are just like the most gorgeous songs that you've ever heard in your life. Like Aranya is so tasty. I also love the little, like the shorter tracks on here, like Femme and Lethargy, I think are gorgeous and have some insane production. Like everything Arca does is incredible. Everything on this album is incredible. I love it. Am I scoring these albums? I guess I've given most of them scores already. Kick 2 is a 9 out of 10. The next album I listened to is True Opera by Moor Jewelry, which is the collaboration between Moor Mother and Mental Jewelry. This came out back in 2020, I'm pretty sure. This is the first time I had ever heard Moor Mother. I've listened to a lot of her stuff since then, but I had never heard her before. This is the only thing I've heard of Mental Jewelry. I don't really know anything about them, but Moor Mother I love. And this album, nice little like noise rocky kind of thing. It's so good. Like the personality that Moor Mother has, the way that she delivers all of the lines and stuff is incredible. I love the messages of the songs. They hit quite hard, especially something like Look Alive. Really, these songs just sound great. They go hard. I'm into them. This album, I haven't scored this album before. I'd say like a 7 to 8 out of 10. Next, I listened to Neverland by WJSN, the little mini album. And this album is good, but really like it's pantomime and then a bunch of other songs. Like it's not even the title track. Like Butterfly is good, it's fun, but like pantomime. Like, this album would still be good if pantomime weren't there. It's still good quality songs, but like pantomime is the reason this album exists. It's the reason that we listen to it. Pantomime is one of the best songs ever made. Neverland, it's a 7 out of 10. An album that I have talked about quite recently actually is moMINTs by Tobe Nwigwe, and I stand by what I said, that it's kind of an out of nowhere contender for hip hop album of the year. I think it's amazing. I've just liked it even more since I first listened to it. Toby's rapping is fun, the beats are fun, the features are fun, everything is fun, dynamic, it's nice and short, doesn't outstay its welcome. It's just a really, really great rap album. It's an 8 out of 10. Fever Season by GFRIEND is what I listen to next, and expect to see something about GFRIEND on this channel coming. I want to say soon. It might actually be a while. I'm busy for now, and the GFRIEND thing is going to be big. The GFRIEND video when it comes is going to be massive, but it's in the works. It's there. This is just one of the albums that I've gone back to. Fever Season is really good. I really like the title track Fever. I think it's a lot of fun. There's also some amazing B-sides on this, especially Mr. Blue and Paradise have some phenomenal electronic production. Like the little moment of like almost breakbeat stuff on Paradise or whatever. Some of the like breakdowns in Mr. Blue are delicious. the Korean version of Flower, gorgeous. This is just a really nice little album. It's a 7 out of 10. Hellfire by Black Midi, I have talked about in my albums worth listening to from whatever month it was. And it's a phenomenal album. It's probably my album of the year. For somehow every time I listen to it, I like it more and more. And I thought it was like basically perfect the first time I listened to it. I don't know how it does it. Just every single song, the stories, the sounds, the performances are incredible. And I'm saying it now, it's a 10 out of 10. It's my first 10 out of 10 of the year. It's a 10. Another album I have talked about, CSR's Sequence 7272. I listened to this album 3 times this week. So if that's any sign of how much I love this thing, it's one of the best K-pop albums of the year. It's one of the best debuts of the year. I am just more obsessed with it the more and more I listen to it. Each of the songs are just so fun and bright and bubbly. I absolutely adore it. They're all getting stuck in my head. I just keep coming back to this album. It's I don't know what I gave it originally, but it's an 8 to 9 out of 10. It's so good. Sitting at the End of the World by JOHNNASCUS. Again, I talked about this I think last week. I gave it another listen and yeah, it's fun. I pretty much stand by what I said originally. It's got a lot of really cool sounds, but it's quite easy to kind of get lost in it just due to the absurdly out of the box nature of it. But really the track I Don't Really Hope It Lasts Long is the like sort of phenomenal like single banger I was looking for, that's like one you can come back to and listen to on its own. But otherwise the album as a whole is really nice to sit through. It moves really well. Yeah, I do really like this album. It's a 7 to 8 out of 10. The Turning Wheel by Spelling I have gone back to. It just felt compelled to. Yeah, it's really good. It's really very good. Just the way that the sort of concept in the story is weaved into the sound and the like structure of the album is gorgeous. The way that it's not just, the songs are about, this life cycle of like, birth to death to rebirth and that kind of endless cycle that's like heard in the sounds as well as like the album starts off with the very light, pure sounds, a lot of like strings and classical sounds, and then or as the album progresses, developing into more like electronic and louder and like guitars and drums and blah, 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 blah. And then at the end, kind of bringing them all together and like meshing the sounds together so that the concept is portrayed through the sound and the songs and like the individual songs and the overall kind of, it's a gorgeous concept done phenomenally. And Boys at School, oh my god, Boys at School is just one of the best songs ever made. It's a 9 out of 10. An album that I haven't actually talked about on this channel, even though it's a bit more recent, is Big Time by Angel Olsen. And this is a gorgeous album. Maybe the prettiest thing I've listened to this year. This has actually become my comfort album in just like the last week. I find myself just going back to the songs off of it and just listening to them to calm me down and comfort me. It's really nice. It's really pretty. Chasing the Sun is one of the most gorgeous things I've ever heard. Dream Thing. I just stay up at night thinking about the line, I was looking at old you, looking at who you've become. I think that's gorgeous. The entire concept of that song is gorgeous. Just the entire album is so pretty. It's so nice. I love everything about it. It's an 8 to 9 out of 10. Another album from last year I went back to is JPEGMAFIA's LP, specifically the offline version, because I think it's the better version. And yeah, it's easily my favorite JPEGMAFIA album. It's one of my favorite rap albums ever, probably. No one does it like Peggy. The beats are so good. His rapping is everything. The way that this album is so messy and all over the place while still feeling so like coherent and together. And the fact that it's very, very long, but doesn't ever feel like it's kind of just going on or rambling is incredible. There are so many standout tracks on this album. Like I think everyone kind of loves Trust and Dirty. But for me, it's OG, End Credits, Tired Nervous Broke, What Kind of Rapping Is This? It's just, there's so many good songs. And even this most recent listen, I picked out songs that sort of were ones that I ignored initially, like Are You Happy and Dikembe were two tracks that really stood out to me on this most recent listen. And I'm like, oh my god, it's like discovering new songs even though I've been listening to them for a year. Incredible album, like at least a 9 out of 10, maybe a 9 to 10. Oh, I love Peggy. Coming back to another album I listened to last week, that is The Forever Story by JID. I wanted to listen to this again because I thought it was good but nothing incredible, and then everyone else has said this is the best rap album ever made, and so I was like, okay, let me listen to it again. And I do like it more the second time around. I still don't think it's the best rap album of the year. I don't even think it's the best rap album of this month, but I get it a bit more, especially really focusing on JID's like lyrics and rapping. Like lyrics, I'm not normally a lyric person, but like forcing myself to like sit and think and listen to the lyrics helped a lot more, and also just getting more used to the length of it. I still feel like there's too many beat switches and kind of switch ups. It like a lot of what's going on in this album just feels not unfinished, but it feels like the ideas kind of don't get fully played out before we just switch on to something else, and so it's not the most satisfying listen. But I also kind of understand how that ties into the concept of the forever story and like things kind of just going on with no end. But that doesn't necessarily make it the nicest thing to listen to. Like, my favorite tracks are still the sort of more just solidly all-in-one tracks like Crack Sandwich and Money. But yeah, no, I do really like this album. I do think it's very good. It's a 7 to 8 out of 10. And then finally, the last thing I listened to, I went back to one of my favorite albums of 2020, that is Poppy's I Disagree. This is kind of the album that kicked off my interest in metal that's happened over the last couple years. This album is so good. Oh my god, I love this album. Like, it goes so hard. Like, Blood Money, like, I haven't actually heard Blood Money in a while, and hearing it today I was like, that's a crime. I need to be listening to this song at least once a week. It's so good. And then everything else, like the ending of the last track, Don't Go Outside, still just gives me chills. Just everything about it is so good. The tight concept, the incredible sounds, like Bite Your Teeth is phenomenal. I love everything about this album. Is it a 10 out of 10? I don't know. I kind of want to give it a 10. It's a 9.9 out of 10. And that's it. That is it for the albums I listened to this week. Kind of a lot, none of them new. Hopefully this week I'll be able to get back into the swing of listening to new stuff, because I still have a lot of albums from August to finish off that I would like to kind of get through so I can put out my like albums worth hearing from August post. I don't know, maybe I might have to skip a few, but we'll see. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this kind of slightly weirder version of this video, but I think it's also fun to go through a few slightly older albums to kind of just add to the Jimothy lore of what I like. But yeah, that's it. That's it for this video. Let me know your thoughts on any of these albums if you've heard them. I'd love to hear it. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, press the subscribe button, blah, 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 blah. And I will hopefully catch you next week when I hopefully have new albums that I've listened to. Maybe we'll see. Bye.